What's good, people? It's your boy, The Kitchen. Now, Joe Budden has just announced this morning that he plans on making some changes to his Patreon. Now, this was a very vague tweet. He didn't really expound on what he plans on changing. But I do have some ideas of what he might want to change. As fans have let him know over the past few weeks, well, not even weeks, months, that his show has become very much redundant, very slow paced. Even though the Patreons are rather long for my liking. Like, these are like 3-4 hour long full episodes. And these episodes, even though they are long, they don't really hold much substance, much information. Now, I'm not saying that every episode needs to be information filled, educational episodes. Like, you can talk shit in some episodes, but it really does feel like they are half stepping. Not just Joe, but everybody on that couch. And even though Joe has added 2 new people, that being Jwan and Mark Lamont Hill, Mark Lamont is he's good. People like Mark Lamont Hill right now. I can't say that for J1. Actually, I can say that because in the beginning, people did like J1. He brought a new energy, he brought a new kind of perspective into certain subjects within the pod. But now it kind of feels like the fans have kind of had enough of him. They don't really like his takes. He's not that much informed. But then again, nobody is on that couch, like, if we're being honest here. Like, now there are 8 people on the pod. 8 microphones. That's insane. So Joe is going to be Joe. Joe has his good and bad days, but Joe is an overall good podder. We got Ish. Ish has his good days and his bad days. But Ish overall, he's an okay podder. Now we got Ice. I think Ice is okay. Ice is not bad. Ice was horrible at the beginning though. Like, he was terrible. But I guess that comes with time. Like, Ice is very knowledgeable, obviously, within music. He's opinionated. He has some takes that will have you turn your heads, which is something that you want with a podcast. Now, Melissa Ford. Melissa Ford isn't the best at podding. She has her days where she goes off at times, like where she claps back at her so-called haters, her naysayers. But overall, as a podder, she's not vocal. She's not vocal enough for my liking. But maybe I could be wrong. I doubt I'm wrong though, because I see a lot of people on Twitter just go off on her because she's a very closed off individual, which is also why I thought Hot and Bothered would be a complete 180 for Melissa in terms of talking candidly with her audience. Because I thought that the reason why she was closed off is because she was always around men on the JBP. So I thought her having her own space, her own infrastructure, she would open up more, but she hasn't. And it's kind of mind-boggling to me, because in order to build your own audience, you kind of have to get candid. You kind of have to be relatable. You kind of have to interact with your audience as well, because you're going to want feedback. So if the feedback is negative, which it is, like, very much, you're going to have to, I don't know, get on Twitter, go on Spaces, and get opinions from people, not people that sugarcoat things for you and that make excuses for you. You're going to want the real, essentially. But hey, that's my opinion on Melissa. She can get better at podcasting. I feel like she can become a good podcaster. She just has to open up. Now, Flip is obviously a good podcaster as well. Now, his style of podding, it's like Marmite. You either love it or hate it. I like the episodes that Flip is on, but there's some episodes where he can get very, very much annoying and draining, and it makes for a horrible listen on the headphones. So I would say Flip knows how to pod. He just needs to acknowledge when to tone it down a little bit. Now, Imani was the same with Ish. At the beginning, when Imani would come onto the pod, he would come onto the Patreons, and he was pretty good. He was actually very good. He was honest with the cast. He kept it 100. He seemed relatable, but as time went on with Ish, like he kind of dwindled off a little bit. He doesn't really stand on his takes like he used to. Whenever Joe challenges him, he cowers. He's come off like a yes man as well when it comes to Joe. I just feel like he needs to go back into that mode of when we first saw him, where he kept it 100, where he was honest about the cast and how they would act, and how, remember that conversation where Ish told Imani that podding is way harder than a 9 to 5, and Imani had to keep it 100 and let him know the shit that he does on the pod isn't hard at all, and he set him straight. Because these guys be thinking that the podding, the 4 hours or 5 hours of podding that they do is way harder than 9 to 5 jobs. Like, it's like these guys don't live in a real world. People are out here working hard. Inflation is going crazy right now. Like, people are hurting out here, and you're damn near insulting your audience when you're telling them that the hard work they are doing while listening to your podcast isn't harder than podcasting. Like, that's crazy to me. But hey, let me shut up. All in all, I just hope that Joe's tweets about him turning up the Patreon, he actually turns up the Patreon, because I unsubscribed like 2 months ago because it was just so redundant. It was so boring. The podcasts were 3-4 hours long for absolutely no reason. I didn't really learn any information. The takes that they had are like Twitter takes that have been said before. Like, it was very much a boring experience. So hopefully they do enhance the Patreon. Hopefully Joe lets all the cast know that they need to step things up a notch, a couple notches actually, because for them to be giving you guys their hard-earned money for a great experience and a great listen, and they're not getting either one of those, is very unfair, and is doing a disservice in my opinion. But hey man, what do I know? I'm just a guy with a YouTube channel. It's your boy The Kitchen. Let me know what you guys think in the comments. Do you think the Patreon should be stepped up? Do you think major changes need to happen? Do you feel like people are half stepping essentially? Let me know in the comments. It's your boy The Kitchen. Deuces.